Hey guys, I'm here to go over some basically my favorite stroke drills. These are really built kind of building blocks of a stroke, is sort of the progression you go through with them. Starting off, we have our stroke tune up, which is really just getting us to verify that we have a straight stroke going on. You can start on the short dimension of the table if you'd like to build a little bit of confidence here. The whole goal is to hit that ball straight across the rail such that it comes back and hits your tip at the end of the shot. You'll usually find that maybe you're pulling a little bit one direction or another. I think everybody should do a version of this before any competition or any serious play that they're going to get into. Um, maybe not when you're out at the bar just messing around, but if you're going to play pool with the intention of playing well and winning, then you should really tune up this way before you get going so that you know that you're feeling your alignment correctly. So I might do this for a few times, and eventually I'm going to move to the longer dimension of the table to fine tune my stroke in even more challenging conditions to stay that accurate. So I'll move to the long dimension of the table. This can be a lot more challenging. Again, I love to use a striped ball. It really helps give you a visual cue as to sort of what you did, where you made a mistake. If you hit it off of alignment, if you're hitting it nice and straight, you should see that stripe kind of stay right in the middle there and come back and hit your Q-tip. This is a lot more challenging. So if you're shooting from 3/4 of the table here, that's a long distance to go, much longer even on a 9-foot table. If you have one of those available to practice this drill, it's particularly challenging. um, but it's a really good exercise, and if you can dial this in and successfully hit 3 in a row, your stroke is fairly well dialed in. I mean, there's some guys that can do this for 5, 10 times in a row, but I would challenge anybody. It's difficult to avoid any steering or a tiny mishit of the cue ball, which is an object ball here, under those conditions. So I'll do this for another 10 minutes. Um, until I feel really confident that one, I'm stroking the ball well, and two, I can feel what it's like to stroke the ball well. So I want to be able to do that a little more consistency, really. Hitting it 3 times perfectly in a row is very challenging. So if you can achieve that, you're in pretty good shape. But that means I would be at that level. I'd be in that 700 level if I was able to do that consistently here, because I know I don't have as consistent of a stroke as those much higher ranked players. So now what we're doing is we're introducing a shot into this practice. Now, what we're doing is we're actually aligning a perfectly straight shot, basically from the center of the table is where the object ball will be. And then the cue ball, we kind of start to vary our distance. So we start with a little bit closer distance until we're succeeding at this drill consistently. And then we will extend our distance out. So my goal for a consistent reason to move up and move the cue ball out for a longer distance shot is typically making anywhere from 3 to 5 of these successful in a row. Very similar to the other stroke tune-up drill. And the reason is, don't get too frustrated. What you really want to do here is train your brain to realize that you are capable of doing these things, and you can do that consistently 3, 4, maybe 5 times in a row. So these are shots that ultimately should become more confident shots for you to also apply um, specific spin to the cue ball. So stop shots, and then we move on to follow shots next, and then we move on to draw shots. So I guarantee if you dial this in for yourself, you're going to start seeing these shots in game. A lot of people kind of sneer at a straight in shot, or when they have to put a bunch of draw or follow on the cue ball, they worry about mishitting them or putting on English one direction or another, which can make a big difference when you're putting a lot of draw or follow on the ball. So it's really good to build your confidence. Now, here is where we start introducing spin top and bottom to the shot. Here we start with follow shots, and our goal here is to just follow that object ball directly into the pocket. So we know that we're perfectly aligned because of where we've aligned these dots, and we know that if we hit this completely true, we should be able to follow that object ball in with some force follow. So that's what this is about. I'd say, you really want to do this same thing. You want to get it 3 times minimum in a row before moving on to the what I call advanced tee, when you basically double the distance with that cue ball, which creates a much harder shot, but also it creates a little more awkward um, bridge location. So you've got kind of these compounding things, but it'll make you feel really confident in game once you start to be hitting these drills with consistency. And it'll show you in your phenotype, what's presenting to the world, that you do have a good stroke. So that's what really matters. I mean, it's important that all your mechanics are good. That's what all goes into a good stroke. But what's even more important is that the results you're getting prove that you have a good stroke. So that's kind of where we're going with these drills. And it's really important to me to always finish on a successful shot. Um, Even if, say, you had a couple in a row and you wanted to finish out the 10 balls that you were hitting, you miss one, and then you move on. No, you should really finish feeling confident in that the work you've done has brought you success. So finish on a win. Don't retire early at the bottom, but retire when you're on top. Essentially, that's kind of what that's about. But you want to trick your brain into thinking that, no, I got this. This is good. I've got it down, so that you can perform that way in game. So then we move on to the draw shot, which is really the most challenging of all the shots. Um, this this is an area where a lot of people tend to accidentally scoop the ball. Maybe they hit too high for their draw and they skip the ball. They don't get a lot of draw after contact with the object ball. There's a whole number of things, but most of us do struggle more with our draw shots than any other. So what this one really does is teaches you to hit a really powerful and accurate draw shot, so that you can transfer a lot of that energy back after contact with the object ball. And it's really challenging. I definitely struggle with this myself, and it's probably my number one, um, I would say, cue ball contact skill that I struggle with the most, other than maybe like a Messe shot, which I have never practiced and don't really have much interest in becoming extremely proficient at. So, and there you go. I mean, there you have it right there. I just cued too low, hit the felt first, and launched that cue ball right over the object ball into the pocket. So, but that's the draw, and it's tricky. So you're gonna have to give yourself time to work it out, and don't get too frustrated. Run through a couple rounds of balls, move on if you can't quite get it, but try to get at least one of those successes under your belt, so you know that it's possible for you. All right, so here we're going to just move out to the advanced tee. It's just about double your distance from where you were to the object ball. So this is a challenging shot, I think, for just about everybody. It feels a lot more daunting. That pocket that you're aiming in has a very narrow pro side, so you really have to hit these shots. These require an extremely straight stroke right into the heart of the pocket. And what I'm doing there is I actually put my donut in a little tight, and my bridge hand was in an extremely awkward spot, and I'm really not trying to practice jacked up shots or anything like that. So I'm just adjusting these donuts to be more accurate for me. All right, and this is the one pocket drill, which I really like to apply all those things you've just been practicing to tune up and align your stroke. And then also this applies a little bit more of post contact control, which was a lot of what the stroke drill is getting that proper amount of draw and follow on it with an accurate shot so that you can predictably plan for where the cue ball is going to go. So that's why I like this drill. Basically, what you want to do is make each ball in order. We got the set up 1 through 10 without any incidental contact, and make them in the same pocket. So, um, pardon my yawn narrating this. I should probably easier for me to narrate while I'm playing, but I didn't do that here. I just wanted to get these drills down. So, um, it does a really good job of forcing you to apply all that accurate stroking technique because you have to have a precise uh, position after the shot here in order to continue successfully. So all those dots are essentially where I would like to start from for the various balls. So the 4 and the 5 are right there. Essentially the same spot is where I want to begin with either of those. And then I see my next spot for the 6, my next spot down for the 7. Um, so I feel confident about where I'm leaving it, and I just need to continue to kind of shorten up the amount of distance that I need to hit the cue ball to make these shots. So the less cue ball movement you have, the more accurate your shot making will almost always be. So that's kind of something to pay attention to. And then the same thing is true is the shorter distance you have to that object ball, the more likelihood you're going to make it. So those are kind of two things you're always competing with in game to get easy shots, but also shots that don't require you to make monumental shifts or moves with the cue ball to be successful. Now that that clip looked like made that drill look really easy, which it can be if you've been practicing and your stroke is getting in tune. Oh, excuse me. But uh, if you're not in tune or you're frustrated with it and you've had to hit it 3 times, don't keep going if you're frustrated. Just plant that cue ball on those targets, and if you miss the target, it's okay. Just move it back to where the target should be and keep going. Don't get too frustrated by doing this drill 10, 12 times. You just can't round the corner, or you just get out of shape in a tough spot. That's okay. Um, but definitely finish it out and make sure that you can at least make these shots and practice getting to that position. Even if you miss it, that's okay. Just practice getting there, practice dialing in your speed control, your cue ball control, so that the end result is at least close to what you intended and what you expected. So what this does is it creates a a bind between your expectations and your abilities, and also your confidence. So if you prove to yourself during these drills that you're capable of doing these things, you're rewiring your brain to be more confident when these situations come up in game. So, um, but it's really all about dialing in your stroke. You get that stroke dialed in appropriately, and you're going to find yourself having a lot more success in your game and feeling more confident and comfortable with what your cue ball control will be after these shots, in addition to making these shots a lot like the alignment drill, where you're shooting straight shots across the table and using draw and follow and trying to maintain, um, carry that spin. Those will really help you in the game to feel confident in those shots. So keep this up. I promise if you if you do these drills regularly before matches and things like that, I guarantee you will be making shots and getting better leaves and making better decisions with a lot more comfort in your game. So good luck out there, everyone.